As Greece tries to recover from decades of fiscal and economic calamities, the question arises, could the same thing happen here in the U.S.? While the story about Greece revolved around what terms the European Union would set for a bailout, the root of the problem is the corruption and reckless borrowing and growth of the Greek government, and unsustainable commitments to public employees, and economic policies which have inhibited growth in the Greek economy for many years. Here in the U.S., we see many of the same signs, but the most disturbing element of our own sluggish economy is that we've chosen to turn economic truth upside down. A small but telling example was a recent statement by Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf in defending his state's monopoly on liquor sales and his opposition to privatizing the business. He said such competition would result in higher prices and less selection for consumers. Just the fact that Mr. Wolf would even consider making such a flagrantly false statement, turning economic truth on its head, is symptomatic of a nation that can no longer sustain the will to pursue policies based on long-settled economic truth. See, the governor was elected with strong support from public unions, including the one in the liquor stores. So keeping those state jobs and union votes trumps the greater good. Competition lowers prices and improves selection. We all know that, and many more larger truths about the superiority of free market economics. But we've reached the point where politics has corrupted the pursuit of sound economic and fiscal policies. Evidence abounds. Start with a national debt that skyrocketed past $18 trillion, continued federal budget deficits of hundreds of billions of dollars every year, and out-of-control entitlement spending. Entitlements, automatic payments, soak up almost 2/3 of the federal budget, but we continue to pile on more of them with no concern for the cost, because desperately needed reforms are too risky for politicians to support. In Los Angeles, the minimum wage was raised to $15 an hour, even though we know that will drive businesses and jobs out of the city. But pressure from the left trumped that economic truth. We were sold a national health care plan based on two impossible promises: that everyone would get to keep their doctor and their plan while seeing their premiums lowered, and that this massive new government program that would add some 30 million people to the health care rolls would actually reduce the deficit. We know how that is turning out. We were sold an $800 million stimulus package as a massive infrastructure repair job, and wound up spending most of that supposed infrastructure money to temporarily prop up public unions. Just 6% of that stimulus went to improving infrastructure. Unsustainable benefits for public unions continue to drain the treasuries of one state after another, and yet we keep electing politicians who keep giving away the store. We allow the coal industry to essentially be shut down, even though it provides the most prolific source of affordable energy, not to mention jobs, for much of the country, while the government provides heavy subsidies for green energy schemes that are not even competitive in the marketplace. The economy actually shrunk in the first quarter of this year. 3 straight quarters like that is called a recession. But we seem perfectly content with 1 or 2% growth when we know 3 or 4% at least is needed to revive a sluggish economy. No, the U.S. is not Greece, but the longer we continue in denial about fundamental economic and fiscal reality, the more we become like them.